Welcome back, everybody. And we begin this hour with the Fox News Alert at a time when we're hearing that we're in the midst of a new era in the ongoing war on terror. Consider the contrast this week between the White House and Europe reacting to the fast-moving developments in the aftermath of last week's Paris attack. Countries like Belgium, France, and Germany continue with the strategy of taking down dangerous terror cells with raids against the jihadists, while in this country, there's been no let-up with releasing detainees from Cuba's Guantanamo Bay prison site. This week, 5 Yemeni terror suspects were set free at a time when Yemen remains in the spotlight since al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is based in that region. 4 of the 5 were sent to Oman, which happens to be right next door to Yemen. Critics are charging that many of those released have already gone back to the front lines of terror and that releasing more detainees at this time is the wrong move. Republican senators introducing legislation that would ban the release of prisoners to Yemen for at least 2 years and suspend transfers of high or medium risk terror suspects. Joining us now, Idaho Senator James Risch, who supports this legislation and is a member of the Intelligence Committee along with the Foreign Relations Committee as well. Welcome, Senator. Great to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you first, what was your reaction to the news that 5 more detainees had been released this week at a time when so much of the world is focused on what's happening in Europe with the terror raids there?
Well, you know, this just doesn't make sense, but then a lot of the things that the administration has done, particularly pertaining to Gitmo, doesn't make sense. Prior to him becoming president, the prior administration had gone out and identified the leaders of this war, and it is a war against America, where these leaders plot things like 9/11 and other types of attacks against the homeland, and for that matter, also against Europe. They went out and through special operations, military action, gathered these people up and took them as prisoners and put them in Gitmo. And now the present administration has just been letting them out on a regular basis. These are dangerous people, and as you pointed out in the lead-up, it is clear that at least a third that we can prove have gone back to the same thing of trying to kill Americans.
Well, the administration says that those who've been released so far do not pose a serious threat, although we are seeing there is a recidivism rate of those guys going back, some of them going back to the front lines and joining up with jihadis overseas. The legislation that's being considered right now would delay, at least for 2 years, the release of more detainees going forward. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, you know, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the 2-year time period obviously is to give a new president the opportunity to review this. President Obama made this as a political promise when he was running for office as president, and so as a result of that, even though when he became president was privy to a lot more intelligence that should have convinced him that that was a mistake, has not done so and decided that he's going to continue to do this. These people are clearly going back to work and lead and put together cells and send people to countries that they can get them to hurt Americans and kill Westerners. This is just the wrong thing to do. We got these people held. Why, oh why, would you want to turn them loose again?
Now, I know the concerns are not only coming from the GOP. There are members on the Democratic side who also feel very strongly about this because they say right now perhaps we need to take a pause because of the stepped up concerns of what's happening overseas and the concerns about threats here at home. Why do you think the White House continues to move ahead with this promise at a time when people might be saying, you know what, maybe you should step back just for the moment while all this drama is playing out around the world?
Well, that certainly makes sense, is to take a pause right now, although it shouldn't have been done in the beginning and certainly shouldn't continue now. They're ratcheting up again. You know, we have various groups. It's al-Qaeda, it's ISIS or ISIL, whatever you want to call them, al-Shabaab, Boko Haram. All of them are gearing up, and for whatever reason over the last 18 months or so, as we see, there are people killed by these groups every single day somewhere in the world. Doesn't make headlines here in America, but we work in the intelligence field, spend a lot of time every day looking at this stuff, and I can tell you that every single day there are people in the world killed by these groups, and this is going to get worse. It's not going to get better if we don't take appropriate steps.
And that's a sad reality. All right, Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Keep us posted on what develops on that legislation.
Thank you.